Trance is the new Daniel Boyle film which has James McAvoy, Vincent, Cassel or Cassel, and then it's what, Rosario, Dawson. I hope I got those names right. This is a heist psychological film, mostly on the psychological point, but this is, I think, a good sort of reminder of like Dan Boyle's like great sort of directing techniques, and you see his style throughout the film. But is this film really a mind bender and a half? Now, the story of the film is actually really good. I mean, obviously it starts off kind of like a typical heist movie, and then something happens. For instance, Mr. McAvoy gets a wee bump in the head, and all of a sudden he forgets important parts of his memory, and this results in hiring a hypnotist where she comes in to sort of retrieve his memories back, because somehow they managed to get the painting but without the painting, if you know what I mean, and only McAvoy knows where he's put it. The only problem is he does not remember. Let's start off with the acting. The acting is actually really good. I mean, McAvoy, I find he liked probably the fact he can now speak in his native language. Although he did try to sort of be a bit more down to earth as much, and a bit more extravagant, but he was really good. This was, I think, the best performance I've seen him in, and I really dug it. The female lead, she was actually really good. Like, she really was given all the sort of the mind-bending tricks, and you're like, whew, remind me not to date her. What I like was just the whole psychotril thing. Like, it does really bang with your mind, it twists like things, and the twists in this film are like amazing. Like, there's some things you just never ever see coming, and the end result of it all is still kind of mind-boggling to this day. I saw this film like a couple of days ago, and I am still reeling from this film. I do only have a couple of complaints. First off is there's not really a lot of actors in the film, so there's only kind of like I find there's only roughly about 8 actors that are at least get some decent screen time. The bad guy, Vincent, I liked him, but I don't know whether that's his real voice or he was just sort of acting, because he started to sound a lot like Arnold Schwarzenegger in a lot of sets, in a lot of portions of the film. And the one sort of maybe biggest complaint is there was a twist that I kind of saw coming, and I kind of knew that something was up. You actually see it quite early in the film, and you have to really look at the person and you'll understand why I kind of see it, because it is kind of that important, because it kind of ruins the whole feel of the movie, because you actually know, because you're waiting on something to happen to know that hopefully that you're right, and you turn out you are right, and it's, yeah. Overall though, I say this film is a definite recommendation for me, but also this is again one of my favourite films of this year so far, which is actually quite funny really, considering that there's been 3 films that I like. There's this one, Welcome to the Punch, and Side Effects. They've all been like my favourite films of the year so far, but they've all been kind of like serious, either like sort of drama or this kind of thing. Like, it's not like an action flick that we had last year. There was like at least a few. So it's, again, while this film was really good, this year's just not really been a good year for films so far as of late.